You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button.
Let me ask you about Brian Kelly. What have been your impressions of how he's assimilated into the league so far?
Highly positive. His contributions at both of our meetings were really high-level leadership contributions, which we have that from a lot of different people, but great to see walking in. You know, he and I spoke really early on, the question about whether the team could actually make it to the Texas Bowl. I appreciate – I was here talking to him the night before our championship game. I truly appreciate that effort. You know what? I respect those guys that were in Houston that night, because of any game all season, that was a group of, 70 guys total, scholarship and walk-on, who wanted to play college football.
It might not even be that many.
Yeah, well, we forget and all the things about opt-outs and draft positioning and do they go, do they stay. People like to want to play.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, when we were going through hurry up in the end of that game, like just get it going. I was standing in the end zone for the last touchdown, and we should replicate the joy that was present among those guys on LSU's team. Yeah, the offensive lineman that set the record for the most games played, right?
Austin Deculus, yes.
Yeah. How cool. Because we tried.
Yeah.
Because we tried. And I look back on 2020, and I have respect because people tried. And so Brian and I talked through that. Scott Woodward was great. I mean, it was stressful because you go through those transition moments. We had COVID popping back up, but really earned a lot of respect. And a long time ago, there's a writer who's here who, when Brian took the Notre Dame job, said he's going to get it done. And so I've admired what he's done. And they performed consistently well. They played in the 2012 BCS championship game, 2 CFP semifinals, and that's a tribute to his leadership. So I really look forward to the future. And, you know, he and I both have to work on our dance moves. I acknowledge that at the beginning of the press conference yesterday, but really positive addition.
When I look, though, at the next 3 to 5 years, and I'm not saying this because I'm on this show. You've heard me say it before. LSU, to me, is the scariest team in the Southeastern Conference.
When they're right, is what you mean.
When they have structure. Again, it's amazing to me how LSU can win national championships without structure. I mean, Les Miles, I don't know if he was eating more of the grass or smoking more of it. Ed Orgeron had a lot of fun. You know, you put lightning in a bottle there in 2019 with Joey B. But when they have structure, it is amazing how dominant LSU can be, because you're in a state that is dripping with talent. There is no other school in the state of Louisiana that's taken anybody from anybody. There's no Auburn. There's no Mississippi State. Hell, there ain't even a Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Georgia Tech's giving them a run for their money. Mm-hmm. But when I look at LSU, when I look at somebody coming in, and I told you this, I will keep saying this, Brian Kelly is the stepfather that LSU didn't want, but they had to have. And he's the guy that comes in and tells you to clean up your room, and you need better friends, and you're not going out till you do your homework. Oh, you got in trouble, I'm taking the door off the hinges, you have no privacy, and you're mad and you're upset, and you don't realize how important it was until you're walking across the stage, graduating cum laude from Harvard, and you got a nice, cushy job looking at finances, I don't know, at Goldman Sachs or something. So when I look at LSU, they are scary as hell to me, because the potential of LSU is very frightening. We can talk about A&M and all this other stuff, but they got to fight Texas. They got to fight Oklahoma. They got to fight Arkansas. And I know Arkansas's came in there and grabbed some kids. Everybody comes in sometimes. But when LSU is rolling, they are a nightmare. They are Freddy Krueger is turning around the corner and about to cut your head off nightmare.
Thoughts on Brian Kelly at LSU?
I thought it was a great hire. Brian Kelly's won every place he's ever been. He's more of a CEO coach. And let's be honest here. LSU's issues were never about players. They've got players. They've always had players, and they got players again. So I think hiring a guy like Brian Kelly is perfect. He's won more games than any other coach in the history of Notre Dame. That's got to count for something.
Yeah.
So I thought it's a very and I will say this. I think that Brian Kelly this year at LSU will have the most talented roster he's ever had. Even some of those national playoff teams for Notre Dame, I think this will be a very talented roster that he's got.
Brian Kelly made his SEC Media Days debut yesterday. Did you have any observations or
Yeah,
opinions
I'll
on
tell you
Kelly?
what. I'll tell you the one thing. Several things I could point out, but I liked one thing particularly that he said. He said basically that I've heard criticism. I'm paraphrasing. I've heard criticism that I'm not a good fit here. That I'm from the North, that I'm from Notre Dame, and I'm not a good fit for coming down here in the South and in the SEC. And he said, in my time here, I've noticed that really there's three things most important down here: food, family, and football.
That's about right.
And he said, best I can tell, he said, I'm pretty much about food, family, and football. He said, so I think I'm a real good fit down here. And so I really liked it. The fact he put some humor into this thing, but that's a valid point. And Nick Saban, he ain't South. He's West Virginia and Michigan State. You can now, but on the other hand, Brett Bielema was very successful at Wisconsin, and he came to Arkansas, and he probably wasn't a real good fit.
Yeah.
So it depends on the personality of the guy. But I like the fact that he came in, kind of making fun of himself, but putting in the light, saying, "Guys, I think I'm a fit for y'all. Give me a chance." My concern, and I'm kind of a quasi LSU guy because I'm with y'all. I write some for Tiger Rag magazine.
Sure. That's how we met back many years ago with
right.
Matt DeVille.
That's right. And I want LSU fans. LSU fans are a lot like Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, the traditional powers of the conference over the years. You're impatient, particularly when you're paying somebody $9 million a year. But be fair. Y'all be fair. Y'all that are listening to me now, be fair. Give the guy a honeymoon. Don't give him 5 years of honeymoon, but give him more than 5 months of honeymoon.
Brian took the job. It's been about 7 months. And when he took the job, he had to overhaul a roster. I mean, so we're still getting to know him. So it's always interesting to get perspectives of people that know him and have worked with him in the past.
Yeah, Brian is somebody that has been successful everywhere he's been. He's had to build programs. He'll build LSU back. He may not be as successful as everybody wants him to be in his first year because he's dealing with so many transfers and new coaching and a new atmosphere, etc. Obviously, the SEC West is very, very difficult.
I heard that.
But I think overall, Brian is going to be very, very successful. And I think he'll win a national championship down there. But, I think he'll retire down there. He'll be so successful.
Better first-year coach, Napier or Kelly?
Kelly. He's got a roster, man. He's got loaded. And I'll give LSU fans credit. He may not choose that word, but LSU fans recognize how much talent's on this roster. And I actually think, I was talking about this with somebody, there's a 3-year plan, The first year is, it's new processes and X's and O's, so we don't have any expectations. We just want to see you be organized. Second year, nobody talks about wins. The one word we want to see progress. Exactly, progress. Sure. Just get better. We just want to see progress, improvement. Year 3 is when you're like, okay, it's time for some dubs. Isn't it weird that, like the LSU fan base, what I'm vibing is it's almost a year 3 mentality. Okay, the roster's built now. The roster's built. Let's go win. Weird thing is, over in Oxford, coach actually is entering year 3, and they're like, yeah, you can have a pass. Fall back a little bit to like 8-4. We'll be fine because he put skins on the wall last year.
Yeah. I'm not so sure I'm bullish on LSU yet this year, but I do think Kelly will get in.
They have some game wreckers, man. And here's the thing. LSU is one of those programs that my evaluation for them normally is, can they win every Saturday? Mm-hmm. And that's the elite.
Right.
I think right now I'm looking at them, can they win any Saturday? Like, as in, they can upset anybody on that scale. And I think they can. They can beat Alabama this year. I don't think they will, but I'm saying they can still win any Saturday. They're just not good enough right now to win every Saturday.
Give me your thoughts on Brian Kelly.
This is very interesting. Notre Dame is obviously one of the most storied college football programs in history, and he's the winningest coach at that institution and leaves there to take the LSU job, which is further to the point of what we're talking about here. Just what it means when the Southeastern Conference says it just means more, it really does. To come there and to have the guts to say, I came here to beat Nick Saban. Like that is incredible to me, and I think that this is just what the LSU program needs. More than I do just how toxic the environment was towards the end of Ed Orgeron's tenure, which is very sad. But I think that and this is what my colleague Jake Crain always says, that Brian Kelly is the stepdad that LSU needed to come in there. And I think it's so true.
I think I've heard that before.
He's gonna come in there, and he's going to add discipline to a place that already, one, recruits itself, and two, is going to have the best athletes in the country running around the field. And you and I were talking the other day, week 1, you open up against Florida State. Now, Florida State is not expected to be the best team in the ACC this season, and LSU is not expected to be the best team in the SEC this season, but that game 1 might have the best collection of athletes on the field in the country. I expect Brian Kelly to do great things. Maybe not this first season, but I expect him to win a national championship at LSU.
What do you think about Brian Kelly and LSU?
I always say this on the pod. We are like a nation of haters. We just want to crap on anything, like for whatever reason. Like it's just, I don't know if it's social media or what. Brian Kelly has had a handful of embarrassing losses, and they've been to incredible teams: Bama, LSU, Ohio State. I think he's the most, or he's like the winningest coach.
Winningest active coach in college football. He had some vacated wins in Notre Dame, but what happened on the field, winningest active coach.
Like 270 wins. Yeah. And I tell you what, I think him going to LSU, he's more competent than either of their last 2 coaches, which is weird. And I'm going to miss that wild card status. I kind of hope he develops like a drinking problem or something fun. But yeah, I mean,
don't wish that, please.
I do, yeah.
Don't wish that.
Well,
on us,
to be
please.
fair, O had way more going on than that. No, I just think that I don't know if he gets the culture, but he's a guy that's going to like immerse himself in it and become like. I think he wants to win. I think he really wanted this opportunity because it's kind of surprising he took it, right? Especially when he did. LSU is a fantastic job. They are passionate about it. You're going to put as much money into it as possible. It's the best stadium and environment in all of college football. I think he's going to do really well there.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.